growing up as a kid, yeah. All a nigga wanna have was a Burberry scarf and $3 in my pocket. Instead I got beat with a switch, but I don't give a fuck, but it's on my body. Scars all up on me, but I run around from.
The Tennessee Titans' disrespect towards Derrick Henry is unreal. The offseason is almost over, and the Tennessee Titans front office still has yet to give Derrick Henry a long-term contract extension. I don't think it's all that much rocket science. Pay the guy Derrick Henry what he is worth. If you guys have to make him the highest paid halfback in the NFL, go ahead and do that. Because Derrick Henry is a top 5 back. Derrick Henry was the most important piece to the Tennessee Titans offense in 2019. Now I get it. A lot of Tennessee Titans fans are going to say it's more to the offense than just Derrick Henry. What about what Ryan Tannehill did in the second half of the NFL season? What about rookie wide receiver A.J. Brown? And I understand that. But I think it would be pretty naive to say that Derrick Henry wasn't the main reason why the Tennessee Titans made it to the playoffs last season. I think it would be pretty ignorant to say that Derrick Henry is the most important part of the Tennessee Titans offense. Derrick Henry is the focal point of that offense down there in Tennessee. Derrick Henry was the big reason why the Tennessee Titans were able to make their Cinderella run in the playoffs this past year. Let me ask you guys a question. If Ryan Tannehill was the starting quarterback, but Derrick Henry wasn't playing for the Tennessee Titans last season, do you guys believe that without Derrick Henry, the Tennessee Titans make it to the playoffs? Do you guys believe that without Derrick Henry, the Tennessee Titans even win a playoff game? Do they go up there to Foxborough and upset the New England Patriots? Do they go up there to Baltimore and upset the Baltimore Ravens without Derrick Henry? I don't think they do. You see, Ryan Tannehill had a solid season last year, but he's still an above-average quarterback. He is not an elite quarterback. He is in between the lines of average and above average. So when you have a quarterback like a Ryan Tannehill that is in that average to above average range, you got to have a good running game. Look at Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings as a prime example. Without Dalvin Cook in that rushing attack, Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings probably don't make it to the playoffs. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback and all, but Dalvin Cook was the main reason for the Vikings' success last year. Just like how Derrick Henry was the main reason for the Tennessee Titans' success last season. Derrick Henry had over 1,500 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns and averaged over 5 yards per carry on 303 attempts. So you mean to tell me that Derrick Henry isn't the main reason for the Tennessee Titans' success last year on offense? You mean to tell me that Ryan Tannehill deserves more credit than what Derrick Henry deserved last season? You mean to tell me that instead of giving the guy who was the main reason for your success on offense a contract extension, you want to go ahead and give the guy who started the season out as a backup, Ryan Tannehill, a contract extension before you get a extension with Derrick Henry worked out? Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I think it would be more logical to give the guy who contributed the most to your team's success on offense than Ryan Tannehill. But hey, I'm not the guy making the front office decisions for the Titans. I understand that halfbacks in the NFL don't have a long lifespan. But I mean, Derrick Henry still should be in his prime for the next 4 seasons. Now, is Derrick Henry going to last 6-7 years in the NFL from now? Absolutely not. The Tennessee Titans are going to continue to give him 300 attempts. You think if you're going to give a guy 300 attempts a season, that means Derrick Henry is going to have over 900 attempts over the next few seasons that he remains at Tennessee. So I'm taking it that if Derrick Henry is getting that much workload, that he should at least be paid what he's asking, because he has a big part of that Titans offense. Ryan Tannehill was great and all. He was a great story. got traded away from Miami. Miami wanted to move on from him. Goes to Tennessee, starts out as a backup, then comes in and takes the job from Marcus Mariota and gets the Titans to the playoffs. That's a great story. But let's not let Ryan Tannehill's success from last season scare you from the fact or make your perspective blurred of who really was the main reason for the Titans' success last season. And that guy was Derrick Henry. And that's a problem with the NFL. The NFL is just so overly reliant on quarterbacks that nobody really gives the credit to who really deserves it. And that was Derrick Henry. Everybody wants to give the quarterback all the success and all of the praise and the credit, but nobody wants to give the credit to Derrick Henry. You see, 10 years from now, we are going to be remembering the Tennessee Titans from their 2019 season based on what Ryan Tannehill did in the regular season. 10 years from now, mostly all that people are going to remember about the 2019 Tennessee Titans is what Derrick Henry did in the playoffs. When you have an average quarterback like a Kirk Cousins or a Jimmy Garoppolo, you got to have a good run game. Without a run game, those guys aren't as good. So if you're the Tennessee Titans, it is, at this point, downright disrespectful and a spit in the face to Derrick Henry at the fact that he hasn't received a long-term contract extension. And that just goes to show you how much teams don't really care about a half-back position, despite the fact that Derrick Henry was the main reason